Okay, so this is physical and chemical properties. So again, to define, physical property is observed with the senses and can be determined without destroying the object. So color, shape, mass, length, odor. We are not changing anything on the chemical level. Chemical properties are how substances react with something else. We are fundamentally changing. We're breaking bonds, making bonds, rearranging. So check mark or an X in the appropriate column. Blue color. Blue color is something that can be observed with the senses. Density is something that can be observed with the senses. And actually, if I wanted to go back for a second, observed, measured, or calculated. Calculated. Those are my definitions from the notes. And I think that includes a couple more. So for example, density. Density is something that can be calculated. And if you don't remember the formula, it's on reference table T. It's density is mass divided by volume. Flammability. Well, that has to do with if something is going to react. Okay, so, well, just are you flammable? Are you going to react? Okay, solubility, which means dissolving. This is tricky. When you dissolve table salt in water, the salt doesn't go away. It simply gets dissolved, which means the particles are spread out evenly. So that is a physical property. Reacts with acid to form H2. So reacting, it's chemical. Supporting combustion. That means will combust. Chemical. It tastes sour. Now that is just something that we can observe. Melting point is something that we can measure. Reacts with water to form a gas. It's chemical. Reacts with a base to form water. Again, it reacts. Hardness, that is something that we can observe. Boiling point is something that we can measure. Neutralization of a base, that's a chemical. Luster or shininess, that's something we can observe. And odor is something we can observe. So there's that. Then we have physical versus chemical changes. So this is talking about changes, not just, what it is, but how it's changing. In a physical change, the original substance still exists. It's only changed form. So physical is a change in form, like a phase change, solid to liquid to gas, or the reverse. Size, shape, color, etc. Ooh, how about blue? Chemical changes. We're going to break bonds. We're going to form a new substance. It's a noun. Okay. Sodium hydroxide dissolves. Dissolving is a phase change. So that's going to be called a physical change. I see the keyword reacts. Hydrochloric acid reacts, and that's going to be a chemical change. And they're producing new substances. Heat is given off. A pellet of sodium is sliced in two. You're just changing the size and shape. So that's a physical change. Water is heated and changed to steam. That is a phase change, so it's a physical change. Potassium chlorate decomposes into potassium chloride and oxygen gas. So the word decompose means break down, and hopefully you know that. You are not able to do this just yet, but here is an unbalanced chemical reaction. Do you want me to balance it? Okay. Don't make me. All right. So notice how we have KClO3 on this left side, and it's broken down here. So obviously that's a chemical change. Rusting is a chemical change. We're forming that new, rusty colored substance. It's very brittle. It breaks apart. Chemical. When placed in H2O, a sodium pellet catches fire as hydrogen gas is liberated, which means given off, and sodium hydroxide formed. So that is definitely a chemical change. We're breaking bonds, forming new substances. Evaporation. Well, what is evaporation? That's when a liquid goes to a gas. That's a phase change, so it's physical. Ice melting, that's a phase change. So it's a physical change. Milk is souring. When milk sours, it's going to curdle. It's going to change the taste. So that is a chemical change. It's like chunky, gross. Sugar dissolving in water, that's just a physical change. The sugar is not gone away. It's just evenly distributed throughout the water molecules. Wood rotting, that is definitely a change in the chemical structure. Pancakes cooking on a griddle. No, this is not a phase change. This is actually, you're changing the substance. Water is given off. So like that liquidy pancake batter is now giving off the water and it's forming bonds. And there's no way to get it back. With ice melting, you can have a reverse process, but you can't have a reverse process with a chemical change. Grass is growing. This is photosynthesis, which is a true chemical formula. So that's chemical. Tire is inflated. That means just adding some air, so physical. Food is digested. That's all kinds of chemical change. Now, if it had said food is digested in the mouth, I would also give you physical because there's the physical breaking down of chewing. But this says the stomach, so I'm going to go with that. Water is absorbed by a paper towel. That's just a physical change. If you have any questions on either of these two ideas, please let me know. Thanks.